Good morning, everyone. I wanted to take some time to show you a lot of the new features in Google Meets. So, as of right now, I have signed in to Google Meets as a teacher through Google Classroom. So, I am um, really just looking at this as me first coming in, and I'm using the fake student to act as an active student today. So, what you will notice here at the very bottom of the screen, you have the same options that you've always had. You have the mute or the microphone option. You have the leave call button. You have the turn on camera button, raise hand featured, turn on captions, present now, and then on the left hand side, there's something new. You have your host controls. When you click on host controls, it gives you the option to adjust the access for students. So let's just say if you come in and you change this from quick access um, and turn that feature off, then what will happen is once you end this call and just say tomorrow you open up that classroom again, then you will have to admit every student that tries to come into your class. So, one of the things about Meets Now is when you adjust your host controls and then in the meeting, that same setting will activate the next time you come into the classroom. So, anytime you change your host controls, you want to make sure that before the meeting is over, you set them back to default if that is your choice. If you don't set them back to default, just expect at the beginning of the next call for the same settings to activate. So here in this section of your host controls, you have the option to let everyone share their screen, or you can turn that option off. As a teacher working with students, you might want to go ahead and turn that option off. You want to be the only person that has the option to share your screen. And just know that if you're in the middle of a meeting and you want a student to share their screen, you can just quickly change that option prior to asking the student to share their screen. You also have the option here to turn off the chat um, and just turn off the option to allow students to chat in your class. Some teachers like to use the chat feature as a discussion, some people don't. Some teachers don't, so it's totally up to you. So, just for this demonstration, I will leave it on. You can also do a more advanced view of the host settings to see what you have here. Take a look at your video cam to turn your camera on if for some reason the button at the bottom isn't working. And then you can also look at your audio as well and turn your microphone on in case the button at the bottom of the screen is not working. One of the things that I like to do when I do videos is use the noise cancellation option. It filters out sound that isn't speech. I use this because you never know what's going to happen in your background. So I turn this on and along with my microphone that already cancels out noise, it pretty much cancels out all the noise in my house and you can definitely um hear yourself clearly, students can hear you clearly without interruption. All right, so now that I have these options set, I don't have to press a save button or anything. It's gonna just save those features on its own and you can close it out. Also in this section, you have um, the details of your meeting. You're able just to click in and highlight the meeting code and share it through GoGuardian or something like that if you like to. Or if you just click on the screen, it will copy it to your clipboard. However, it copies everything to your clipboard. So when you paste it, just say in an email to send it to someone, you're pasting everything. So if you just want to choose the link, just highlight it and let that be it. When it comes down to your attachments, the only way that students are going to see attachments is if you add these attachments in through calendar, which is a little tedious to do when you're using your Google Classroom. So I wouldn't really get into that unless that is something that you're going to do all the time. On the far right, you have the More button, the vertical More button. You see the sign that says More Options pops up. So when you click on More Options, and I'm just going to move myself over, you have the option to use the Jamboard as a whiteboard. Now, the interesting thing about using the Jamboard as a whiteboard, if you have Jamboard downloaded to your desktop or laptop or Chromebook as an actual application, then you have more features to Jamboard. You can draw or you can write and it'll correct whatever you're writing with your mouse. It's really awesome. However, if you don't have it downloaded and you're just using the web feature, it's pretty much only going to let you put up sticky posts and things like that, but it will allow students to collaborate. Here is the record meeting button as always. Um, let's talk a little bit about layouts. Now, one of the questions that I've been receiving from many of the teachers is that how can I see myself in the meeting? I used to be able to see myself in the meeting and now I cannot. All right. So to activate the layout that allows the teacher to see themselves from their meeting view, you actually have that feature has been moved to another section of Meets. It's here in the upper right hand corner. So when you hover over your picture, you have the option to pin yourself to the main screen or you have your option to show yourself in tile. Well, the feature that you're looking for is to show yourself in tile. Once you click on the show yourself in tile feature, then you will notice that you will be able to see yourself within the meeting along with the students. Okay. Now the students won't see you as a tiled view. Only you will see you as a tiled view. And that kind of helps you control a lot of your facial features and things like that. So I'm just going to turn that camera off again since you actually see me at the bottom of the screen as well. Another thing that teachers have been asking is um, what happened to being able to see my presentation from within me? Okay, so I am going to present a screen. So I'm going to present, let's just, okay, I'm going to present this quiz that I have up right now. And I also have the option here now to share my audio. So no longer do we have to struggle with tabs and trying to find that share audio button or turn off the audio button. It's right there at the very bottom of the screen. So I don't really need audio to be shared for the quiz. So I'm going to uncheck the share audio button. I'm going to share the quiz. All right. So what is going to happen? What's happening when I share my quiz is that here I see that I can see the quiz there, but I can't see it down here, which doesn't really help me very much. So if I want to see it down there, then I need to pin it to the screen. However, if you notice when you pin it to the screen so that you can see what the students see, it makes it seem like the students disappear. The students actually are just right here, and you can show everyone to the side. You won't be able to see their faces, but you will be able to see if they raise their hand or not. But at the same time, you are seeing the entire screen. You're seeing what the students see. So you kind of have to use your imagination at this point if you're going to pin the presentation to your screen and just see the students here in on the right hand side. So while we are in this mode, let's go ahead and talk about the other features that are associated with participants. You now have the option to unmute everyone or to mute everyone. You also have the option to add people now. So let's just say you want to invite somebody in the meeting and they're missing right now. So you would choose here to add them to the meeting. So I'm just going to add Ms. Dozier here because I know if she sees this invite, she's probably going to answer it. So I'm going to add Ms. Dozier so she can be an extra student if she shows up. And then here again, you have the host controls where you can turn on and turn off the chat messages, and where you can actually share um, the ability for students to share their screen. Another option is that if you have a student to raise their hand, you can lower their hand here. So I'm going to go over to student view. So here is the fake students view, and they can actually see my screen and they can see everyone else in the meeting. So I'm going to be the fake student here and I'm going to raise my hand. All right. So if I go back into the teacher's view, I see the student's hand raised here on the right hand side. The new feature here that I absolutely love is that I can lower that student's hand after they talk. And so I'm not confused. I don't have to look at all these tiles if and especially if I don't have the tile showing because I am pinning the presentation to the screen so I can follow along. I can just lower the student's hand. Simple. All right. Love that option. When it comes down to the chat feature, pretty much nothing's changed except for the fact that you can turn off the chat. When it comes down to the activities feature here, we have breakout rooms, polls, and Q&As. So the Q&A section hasn't changed much. You can turn that section on and it will allow students to be able to pose questions or ask a question here. So the teacher can ask a question, students can ask a question. If we look at the Q&A section from the student view, you will see that the students see a little green dot that shows that something in the activities area has been activated. So when I click on the activities area from a student perspective and look in the Q&A section, I also see a green dot. So the student knows, hey, the teacher has activated the Q&A section and I can ask a question. I'm just going to type a question. How are you today? And I'm going to post it. When I post this question from a student perspective, all the other students see my question as well. When I go back to the teacher side, I can see um, the student's name, what they posted, and after I answer the question, I can actually hit the check mark that it has been answered. I can mark it as answered. If it's an appropriate question, I can delete it. If it is a question I don't think everyone should see, or if it's a question that I don't want to mark as answered, I want to mark as hidden, then I can choose mark as hidden, but all the other students still will see the question. Now, what's interesting is that the other students, they can hit the like button if it's a question that they also want to ask. And that way, you can tell whether or not you're answering the question for more than one person, and you can go ahead and lower their hands if you have. All right. And just in case you get to the point where you don't want to allow any more questions, you can just close it from there. And then from the student side, they will not have the option here to ask a question. All right. So now let's go into polls. Polls have pretty much are the same. Um, so I'm going to write a poll question. How are you feeling this morning? And I'm going to put sunshiny and I'm going to put cloudy. All right. In order to activate the poll, you have to mark save, and then you also have to launch it. You can have the option for everyone to see the results, or if it's turned off, then only you will see the results. So I'm just going to launch it with just me seeing the results. So from the student perspective, if we go back to activities, now you see polls. The polls section is activated. So I'm going to click on polls here, and I see that there's a live poll. I'm going to click from a student perspective that I'm shiny, and I'm going to vote. After the student has voted, since I don't have it set for students to see the poll results, they can only see whether they voted or not. So if I go back over to the teacher's perspective, I can see that one vote from a student. I can see the poll results here. And when all the students have voted, then I can end the poll here. All right. So now let's take a look at breakout rooms. When we go into breakout rooms, there's a couple things that have changed. So if I click on set up breakout rooms, it automatically creates rooms to evenly split the amount of students that you have. So let's just say you don't want to use an even split of students. What you're going to do is you're going to clear the data. All right. You're going to change the amount of rooms. Now, the minimum amount of rooms that you can open up is 2. So if you just want to use one room, it's going to open up 2, but just put the student that you want to be in the room, you drag them to the room that you want them to be in. Okay. And then click open rooms. Once you click open rooms, the student will see a message to join that meeting, and hopefully the student will. If the student doesn't, even though they're dragged, you have to go back into main call and remind them to go in to open the room. Another option is that we have a timer here that you can set for the amount of time that you want the students to be in breakouts. That's a new feature and it's awesome. If you don't want the group set, you could just shuffle all the students around, and then again you can clear the rooms. So I'm going to cancel changes because that is self-explanatory. When you have the timer set, it'll pull all the students back in the main call automatically. If you don't have the timer set, you will have to click close rooms. Now, once you click close rooms, it's going to send a warning to the students that the room is about to close. If you click close rooms twice, it'll immediately bring everyone in to main call. All right, so we have gone through the activity center. I am going to unpin from the teacher perspective. I'm going to unpin my presentation so that I can visually see all the students. Um, but if your students don't have their cameras on anyways, you could just use the pin section and just show the participants on the right hand side, and you can still see their hands raised, etc. Now I'm going to unpin, as I've stated, so that I can see the students. Now, from the student perspective, you will notice that the presentation is still in full view, okay? And they can see other students in the room. And if you have an activity, then the activity shifts how the page is aligned so that all 3 things can show up on the screen evenly. Now, from the student perspective, they too have the option to pin themselves to the screen. I don't know for what reason they would want to do that, but they can. And they also have the option to show themselves in the tile, or to take themselves out of the tile. All right. So I am leaving the student view altogether. We're going back into the teacher's view so that we can complete the walkthrough for meets. So in the more options, I have a question from teachers. Why can't I see all the students at one time? Well, if you have grid view still installed as a Chrome extension, I need you to remove it. So you will go up into the upper right hand corner to your extensions menu. You click on it, you will find grid view, which I don't have it anymore, and you will click the more button on it whenever you find it, and then choose remove from Chrome. Once you do that, the Google Meets features to control your layout will activate. One of the things that Google did was mimic some of the Chrome extensions that we were using on the free version, and they automatically incorporated in the education version. So when you click on change layout, choose the tile view and then push the tiles to 49, and it will show all the students. It will just keep making them smaller until everybody fits. That is the best option when teaching a class, and it will show up just like grid view. And as long as you have clicked for you to show up in the tile, you will show up in the tile along with the students. You now have the option to change your background. You can change your background to any settings. I like the first two where it kind of blurs you out a little bit. It blurs your background out just a little bit. You can also change your background based on the picture that you would like. I really love the confetti one. They have some really realistic backgrounds as well. You have one that looks like a kitchen. We have some that looks like an office, which I like to use a lot, depending on my background. But if you don't want to use a background or at all, then you want to make sure that you have something tasteful in the back. So I'm going to turn the camera off for the teacher again. Um, let's see here. So in this area, you can turn on the captions. If you're turning on captions, then what you're actually seeing from the teacher's perspective is the students talking. When the students begin to talk, you'll be able to read their caption on the screen. If you have a student that needs to read caption, you need to instruct them to turn on captions from their perspective. So I'm on the student perspective. I'm on the student screen. So I'm going to turn on captions at the bottom of the screen. And if I were to turn my mic on from the teacher's view, then the student will see my words at the bottom of their screen. Now, I know you probably heard an echo because I'm using Screencastify to make this video. So if you have a student that needs to use captions, if you're just turning on your captions as a teacher, the student doesn't see that at all. The student needs to turn on captions from their end. However, when they turn on captions, the presentation gets a little smaller, the tiles get a little smaller. When they turn it off, everything enlarges. Okay? So that's enough for captions. So from the teacher's perspective, I'm going to turn off captions because I don't need it. I don't want to see words written from all the students speaking throughout the time. It's just not something that I like to use, but there are some students that may need it, and we've already shown you how to do that. So if we go back into this menu, um, you can use your phone as audio if you want. You actually have to dial the number and give permissions. That's something if you're really having audio trouble with your computer for any reason, it's something that's helpful. One of the other things that's really awesome is this troubleshooting and help feature. It will tell you the stability of your network. Okay. It will, let's see here. So right now it's telling me the stability of my network. And right now I'm pretty stable. I've been pretty stable all day. Okay. It will also give you some tips if you're not stable. If you scroll down, it will let you know your CPU usage. Okay. And the CPU is the brain of your computer. It's the thing that helps control. So it will let you know if you're overloading it by how much you're using. I'm at 50%. I have quite a bit of things open. There's a lot of things that are going on. So um I try to make sure that I check this once in a while to make sure that I am not overloading my system because I have an older laptop that is doing all of these things. I have an i5, so it's it's all right, but not the best. there are also some more troubleshooting tips here. What I love about this is, as a teacher, you can direct your student to take a look at their at this troubleshooting section and to see if their network is really stable or not. Many times students, when they have an issue, number one thing they say is that my internet is going down, my internet is going down, or they can just check there to really see if it is going down. So that is the overview of Google Meets. These are the new features. I hope this helps you a lot. I really enjoyed making this video with you. Have a great day.